Today is March 20th, 2015, and we still have a few people logging on here, but we're going to go ahead and move forward at this time. I realize you all have very tight schedules to deal with. So again, I'd like to thank you for attending. We're going to be talking about this transitional period of the Windows Server 2003 end of life as this operating system comes to a close. And we're looking forward to hearing about your experiences out there as well. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Great. I'm going to go ahead and briefly introduce myself. My name is Sean Curiel. I'm the Channel Marketing Manager here at NovaStore, specifically for the SMB product line. I'm joined today by Clay Levering. He's our Senior Product Manager. He'll be on board fielding your questions in the chat and also opening up a question and answer session here at the end. I've also got your dedicated account manager's contact information listed here on the screen, Brad Skindle for the Western Territories and Eric Lamarck for the Eastern Territories. If you're unsure of who to speak to, you can always call our U.S. reseller partner team direct line or just simply send an email to partner@novastore.com. As you probably already know, NovaStore is an international provider of all-inclusive data protection solutions for both physical and virtual environments. Our support team is based out of Agoura Hills, California for all of the U.S. regions and out of Hamburg, Germany for our European partners and customers. We've got two major product lines, our SMB product line, which is really for customers of the 10 server or less range, speaking very generally, and our enterprise clients, enterprise product line, which really speaks to people with exceptionally large data sets and so forth. But we're seeing a lot of the Windows Server 2003 issues with our small business product line at this time, and that's really what we're speaking to today. So real quick here, our agenda for today. I really only have about 10 slides that I'm going to be going through, but we're going to be talking about the end-of-life implications to you. I know we've got some both resellers on board as well as some end users, some NovaStore value create resellers as well as potential resellers. So it's going to affect everybody obviously a little differently. Your options for action, the benefits of migration, planning for this transition, planning for migration, as well as protecting data during this time. And for those of you that simply feel stuck on Windows Server 2003, we're going to be addressing a few items to address that as well. So the situation as it stands today, kind of the lay of the land as we see it, is the deadline for the Microsoft Windows Server 2003 end of life is rapidly approaching. You probably already heard what that date is, July 14th, 2015, which puts that operating system at a little over 12 years old now. Millions of businesses are still running it. We see about 25% of those businesses are classified as small businesses. Up to 66% are either small or medium-sized businesses. So that really kind of pinpoints those who are dealing with this issue the most. Small businesses who may in fact be the ones in some cases that are least equipped to deal with it. Maybe they've got the least resources or manpower for dealing with this situation. So we see a lot of interest in this topic right now. There's really three main reasons that people are still on Windows Server 2003 that we're seeing. Lack of time to address it, as I mentioned, with the resources, maybe lack of resources, and obviously budgetary constraints. There's an understandable fear of expense that's going to be associated with moving to a more modern operating system. And then finally, compatibility related issues. there are people out there that are stuck on applications that might not be compatible with 64-bit technology, and or maybe was developed internally or by an outsourced team that doesn't exist anymore. So there's maybe in some cases that mentality of if it's not broke, why fix it, which is understandable, but those people are going to experience some problems down the road, and many people just aren't going to make the move by the deadline. So we want to raise attention to the matter and see people really getting started on planning for this move today. So what does end of life really mean? It means no more updates from Microsoft, no more patches, no more bug fixes, security updates, and without those critical security updates for the masses, that really opens up a lot of risk in terms of viruses, hacking, performance issues. You see a lot of the news lately about spyware and ransomware, and once this operating system kind of once those critical updates are no longer available, it's really going to open it up to vulnerabilities. Out of compliance, we have a lot of clients that deal with PCI audits as well as HIPAA compliance on our medical and dental side, and unsupported operating systems could put you in a situation where you're violating compliance standards. Those of you that are dealing with protected healthcare information, it could be risking falling out of compliance. There's some pretty hefty fines that are associated with that. Obviously, if you fail a PCI audit, you're going to be losing out on business from Visa, MasterCard. So there's some serious issues that could affect a small business in this case. Application and hardware support. Most applications, including Microsoft applications, are going to be dropping support for Windows Server 2003, which kind of puts you in an awkward situation without the ability to upgrade valuable applications, or should something become corrupted, the inability to recover it. So what are your options? Some people are going to choose to kind of, I guess, lay back and take it as it comes and wait to encounter issues. Obviously, that's not something we recommend. Others might choose to isolate the systems the best they can. It's not really going to guarantee safety, not recommended by Microsoft, but it might be a part of your process in the transition. Upgrading your existing server. This is a very real option for some people. There might not be a direct upgrade path in some cases. We're talking about a 12-year-old operating system. You might also have 12-year-old hardware, and so there could be some serious risks associated with upgrading a live server, your live environment. The server requirements for the minimum requirements for Server 2012 are 1.4 gigahertz 64-bit processor, 512 megabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of disk space, and these are just minimum requirements for installation. You're obviously going to want more than that. So wherever there's opportunity to run into trouble, you might be risking some downtime in upgrading an existing server. And finally, server migration, which is really what we're going to talk a little bit more about today. And when we say that, we mean side-by-side migration of different workloads and processes, one application, one workload at a time. And that really means configuring the services on a new server, testing, and then decommissioning those old services on the former server. And it's it can be a time-consuming process, which is why we're trying to really see our partners and customers have a look at this right now while we still have 3-4 months left before the end of life. But it's not really something to be afraid of, because there's a lot of great benefits that are associated with migrating to a modern operating system, and that's what we're talking about right now, are the benefits. It does require more powerful hardware, but there's a lot of benefits to be seen in improved performance, capabilities, and some cost advantages as well. New virtualization capability, the ability to flexibly create and replicate virtual machines on the fly, move workloads around, scale performance, and be able to enhance your security in some regards while using virtual environments. Cloud service options, the ability to migrate workloads to cloud services such as Microsoft Azure and Microsoft Office 365. We realize maybe not everybody is ready to start moving processes into the cloud. But regardless, it's a great opportunity to kind of look at each workload and reevaluate, what the optimal destination is going to be for those and where you want to see some of those things go. Reduce total cost of ownership. When you're moving multiple server instances onto a single machine, you're looking at the ability to simplify administration in some regards. You're looking at reduced energy consumption simply by having fewer physical machines, as well as reduced cooling requirements and so forth. And really what it comes down to is, the 2012 operating system was built with virtualization and cloud in mind, and 2003 really was not. So. Migration planning. So what we're talking about is, what do you have and where do you want to go with it? And really getting that laid out into a format that you can work with. You're going to want to start by analyzing what you have, looking at the applications, the users, the workloads, pinpointing potential migration complications, which legacy applications are you running that may cause a problem, what's it going to take, what investments is it going to require to be utilizing those services on 2012, assuming that that's we're assuming that that's the operating system you're looking at moving to. Determine optimal destinations for each workload and application, and what are the resources that it's going to take to make that happen. Are we looking at a software upgrade? Are you looking at moving to a cloud service, or possibly running specific services in a virtual machine? Organizing your plan for systems to be migrated. You're really going to want to look at prioritizing these prioritizing your workloads by complexity, by the investment it's going to take, as well as the number of users, keeping that in account, and looking at the direct relationship to the business revenue. And obviously getting that all into a digestible format that you can reference during your migration, and also creating a backup plan for security during migration. Because there's obviously nothing more important to a small business than their data and keeping that data secure as you're making major changes to their environment. So migration backup plan, what we would recommend in this regards is performing a complete system backup prior to any migration changes, and that would involve creating a disaster recovery image and a disaster recovery boot disk, and then performing a full file system backup for SQL and Exchange. If they're running SQL and Exchange applications, if your backup software has specific plugins or functionality for that to take advantage of those, a system state backup, and then if you have the ability to store one backup set offsite, you're really going to be following best practices at that point. And backing up at key points in the migration process as you get going, to give yourself additional restore points, give yourself additional rollback locations. A differential backup is what we would recommend as the type of backup that's going to capture all the changes that have occurred since your full backup. And then once the migration is completed, backing up the newly migrated machine, whether it's a virtual machine or a physical machine. NovaBACKUP Business Essentials is our product that would handle that from a single software license. So really briefly, NovaBACKUP Business Essentials, what can you do with it? You could back up the physical server. You could back up to a NAS device on the network, for example. You could perform a bare metal disaster recovery, back up unlimited virtual machines to your hypervisor, replicate virtual machines to the same hypervisor or a separate hypervisor using VMware or Hyper-V, or even multi-server vCenter environments. So really a lot of capability that comes with a single license of NovaBACKUP Business Essentials, which retails for $5.99. And so how's NovaBACKUP going to help with this migration process? Obviously, as we mentioned, backing up physical servers, backing up unlimited virtual machines, open file backup, backing up your SQL and Exchange. If you need that single mailbox recovery, we also have an option available for you with NovaBACKUP Business Essentials, NAS device support, and data retention, so that you're only backing up and keeping what you really need. So what if you feel stuck on Server 2003? We realize there's some people that are running applications where they really just kind of feel like they're in a bad spot. There are Microsoft customer support agreements that are more than likely going to be available. They tend to be very expensive. We're talking about something that maybe Fortune 500 companies would utilize in a situation to just have those critical security updates. But for small businesses, it's probably not going to be a reality. As a stopgap measure, maybe as part of your transition, you're going to want to look at isolating the physical machine to the greatest extent possible, or possibly moving that physical machine to a virtual machine or virtual environment, and then isolating that virtual machine to the greatest extent possible. Should say that Microsoft does warn against trying to mitigate security risk just through isolation alone, because it doesn't guarantee security, but it may be one step in the process. One thing we've seen people do on occasion with our software is in their physical or virtual processes performing disaster recovery image, creating an empty virtual machine in Hyper-V and VMware, booting the virtual machine from a DR boot disk created by NovaBACKUP, and restoring the DR image with NovaBACKUP DR boot disk. I will also say that there are other tools on the market, free tools as well, that you can utilize that are specifically designed for the physical to virtual move. Disk to VHD, Microsoft's got some great tools out there as well. So that might be something you want to look at. And if you have additional questions on that, Clay Levering I've got here standing by. We're going to kind of move into the question and answer session at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Clay.
Sure, yeah. Absolutely. Hey guys, so we want to do questions and answers, and I was hoping to see some pop up during the presentation, but we didn't really. I didn't get anything. I know that this is a pretty complex topic, so I was hoping if you guys have any questions relating specifically to like what to do in case of specific examples, or if you have a question about your particular servers or the software that you're using or anything like that, shoot me a message. Let me know. Otherwise, what Sean's been talking about for the entire time. This is what we've been researching and learning a lot about lately, because we really do want to make sure that we have an answer for you guys as you're going through this pretty painful process. So put the NovaStore diagram slide back up. Let's see here. You're talking about this one. Let's see if we can. This one right there. All right. So yeah. So I mean, if you want to learn a little bit more about what this particular slide is about, we have a lot of stuff that we can do with a BE license, and that's one of the really big, powerful aspects of how we can particularly help you with your Server 2003 environment and migration and everything like that. We know that there's always going to be specific tools to do specific things, but we also understand that a lot of times you guys don't like having to go and find those specific tools. So we tried to make it so our single app can handle as many of the simple problems that you might come across. So, our virtual machine stuff, we're going to let you, with a BE license, we're going to let you do some basic backup of virtual machines. We're going to get you the basic replications and stuff of that nature, bare metal of the actual machine. And this is where we can be part of your environment during 2003, because we do still support it, and we will still support it for a while. And then also, once you've migrated, whether it's you're migrating to 2008, 2008 R2, 2012, whatever it is you're migrating to, we can also be a part of that. And even if it's virtual, we can be a part of that. That way, that one piece of software, that one license, you might have to get a couple more licenses for a couple more machines, but that one piece of software is going to be able to handle it. You'll be able to open the files on each OS. It's the same stuff. So Aaron asked if this will only cover one physical server. So a single BE license will cover a single physical server. But it does cover quite a few virtual machines. Actually, I don't think we have a limit on virtual machines on what it covers, mostly just technical limits. You know, the idea here is that we do know and we do understand that virtual backups are a little bit more transient in nature, so we don't really put a limit on that. But the physical machines, you're going to need an individual license for each one of those. And if you want to treat a virtual machine like a physical machine, then you're going to need individual licenses for any of those machines like that. But like with Hyper-V, for example, if you install on the hypervisor, that's a single physical machine. That's a single physical server. It doesn't matter if you're running 30 VMs on that Hyper-V box. That's a single physical server. So that's one license of $599, and then you can grab anything else from there. So. David Howarth, it looks like you have a question. If you could. Looks like you got your hand raised, but no, I don't see a question in our. So we mentioned that it has NAS. Does it include cloud? So we do have some cloud options. You know, we do have the ability to go off to Amazon S3 or like an FTP or an SFTP. My response question would be like, which cloud you're looking for, because we are looking at enhancing our cloud offerings, and I'd be interested in knowing which one of those you'd be interested in going towards. We have done some testing with companies like Buffalo, Synology, QNAP, ReadyNAS. We've done some testing with those NAS devices and their the replication services on those NAS devices, and it looks like those are working fine with our data sets and things like that. And we have some guides. I think we have a couple blog posts, and I think we might even have a white paper. Yeah, we have a white paper on that. And so if you're interested in doing something where you're backing up to a NAS and it's tossing off to from the NAS to another NAS in a different location through their replication software, that works with us. We've tested it. We like it. We've done it with a couple of the different hardware vendors and things like that. So David is asking about private clouds and situations like that. It depends on the kind of private cloud and more information. What I would say is we'll put you in touch, David, with our XSP team, and they actually handle. We do have a private cloud solution. So I'd be interested in having you talk to them to understand more about your particular requirements, and we can go from there. Let's see, Aaron here. Let's see, I have 2 physical Windows servers and a VMware setup that runs 3 additional hosts. Aaron has 2 physical Windows servers and a VMware box. The first question, or the first thing that you need to know about VMware is that you do need to have a paid ESXi license. The free license is not going to work because they don't give you access to the vStorage API. You need that. If you do have a paid vStorage API, you really only need 2 licenses of NovaBACKUP, one for each of the physical servers, and then one of those physical servers can connect out to the VMware host and do the backups for that VMware host of all 3 of those machines. So you only need 2 licenses in that situation. So let's see here. Gary Gutcher, you're asking the price of NovaStore Data Center. I honestly have no idea, but we can put you in touch with someone that's going to be able to give you a quote on that. There's about a million different ways to price that product, since it is a little bit more enterprisey sort of situation. So we'll get you in touch with someone after this. Let's see, James Strampy, does NovaStore work with Dropbox? We do natively actually work with Dropbox. If you have Dropbox installed on your physical machine, we've done testing to make sure that all of our data is synchronized and safe with Dropbox. You know, they handle their synchronization services and things of that nature, and we wanted to make sure that our file system and our file structure is safe with Dropbox. But we do work with things like Dropbox. We work with what's the list now? Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, Saves. Yeah, there's quite a few cloud services that we work with. And what's really nice is that when you open up NovaBACKUP, it'll show up right there. You don't have to try to browse around or anything like that. You'll just be able to grab it in the destination devices. Carlos asks if we're going to be looking into doing partial backups of Hyper-V servers. Yeah, so with Hyper-V, unfortunately, currently, mind you, Microsoft doesn't make it very easy to deal with incremental backups of Hyper-V. Now, they have talked about getting that feature and functionality into a newer version of Server 2012, or the newer version or the newest version of Hyper-V, but they don't currently have, unlike VMware that has change block tracking or anything like that, they don't have a native way of doing those. So we've been working with Microsoft trying to find out a way to get to do that. They don't really have something, but they're working on it themselves, and we're trying to figure out which timeline is best as to whether or not we write something ourselves or we leave it to the experts and then we make it easy for you guys to get into NovaBACKUP. If they are going to take too long, there's entirely that possibility. I don't have a direct answer on if we're going to be able to do that, but I know that we want to make our product better at every chance we can. So that's certainly one of the requests that we keep hearing is incremental Hyper-V or differential Hyper-V backups. I don't see any other questions, guys. If that's it, I'm always happy to answer more questions. I think I've talked to a couple of you in the past. I guess Sean wants me to read this slide here. This is the next actions. So the Windows Server 2003 end of service site. Microsoft has done a pretty good job. They've done a pretty good job of making sure that people are really well aware, and they've given out some great tools, and we're all on board with you guys. It's one of the few times that I've seen just about every IT tech company come together to help solve a problem, because it's a very serious one. We're all worried about it. So there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of questions and a lot of answers from the experts. We're one of those experts, and if you have those questions, feel free to reach out to us. You've got Brad, you've got Eric, Sean, myself. My email's not up there, but they can get in touch with me if you need to. Someone asked if the webinar is going to be available to review later. Absolutely. We do record these webinars just to make sure. And don't forget that your partner portal will have as much information about everything here that you need. Guys, it's been great. Have a happy Friday and have a great weekend. I guess we'll talk to you next time.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. And if you'd like to see a white paper on the same subject that covers a lot of what we spoke about here today, you can get to that by going to novastore.com/Windows-Server-2003. So again, thank you all for joining us, and hope you have a great day and weekend.
All right, guys. Have a nice one.